Crush, Rainey.
What do you think?
Thanks. Wait. I think we have too much stuff on the tank.
Yeah, we're gonna take this off. Here's to our first review. Let's hope this works.
Start this off right.
Not gonna work.
It'll be something.
Woo!
I'm done. That'd be good.
Ow! All right, so everyone, welcome to Wrinkly Red Curtain Reviews with the Horror Squad. I'm your host.
Review.
I'm your host, Bryan. And with us we have Rainey and Ben.
We're not hosts.
Yes, we are.
We're all hosts, actually.
I mean, no, we're not. So today we're going to do our first review about a movie we saw recently. Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
The original.
The original, the 1970s, not the remake.
1977 to be specific.
Was it 77?
77.
Yeah, it was a while ago. With Dee Wallace.
And nobody else.
And nobody else that we can remember.
Recognition.
Which was interesting. Dee Wallace is the actress that was in E.T. as the mother. And Cujo.
And Critters.
And Critters.
Always plays an excellent mom.
She's a
Except in
great
this movie.
actress, though.
She,
But she wasn't a mom in this movie. Yeah.
Who was the one that had the baby?
Oh, she was a horrible mom in this movie. That's right.
Well, wait, why was she horrible?
Because they
Kidnapped the well, I mean, there's mutants coming after the baby. Technically, they weren't even mutants. We'll get to that later.
Yeah,
All right.
spoilers.
So The Hills Have Eyes. Family trip through the Nevada desert. Apparently the belligerent, abusive granddad.
No, granddad to the infant baby.
Or
But
the oldest man in the car.
Patriarch.
The patriarch was a douche. He had a silver mine that he wanted to check on.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, he was
didn't
like, we gotta
actually
check the
pay
silver
attention
mine.
to the plot.
And I could be wrong. And so they're in the desert
And he decides to take
to take a back road
that wasn't on the map
that wasn't on the map.
against.
The advice of the creepy old gas station attendant.
Yes.
He said, don't go back there.
Stay on the main roads.
Yeah, he knew something was up. So that's the movie. They go out in the desert. They then run into trouble with a family of hill people, mutant cannibal
Mutants.
people.
Because there's like, what they bring up that
Yeah,
there's maybe some nuclear test site or something.
This was the area where they did nuclear testing, so there's a military area right nearby, and that there was the hints at that these people had been affected by the radiation, but I'm not so sure it was evident in the actual
More
costuming or effects.
Like Neanderthals.
Yeah, they just seemed like people in bad cave
Makeup.
man outfits.
Yeah, to me, it really seemed like they were just people who wanted to live off the grid up in the caves,
And
the
eat.
hills, and basically survived by cannibalism.
And they were stealing stuff from the people they're eating and then trading it to the gas station attendant.
Right.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the whole movie.
That's the movie. That's it.
So we'll pretty much be talking about technical aspects of the film, also
With wonderful characters.
performances and character
True star of the film.
which were the
The dog.
The two dogs.
yeah, the dogs.
Well, especially the one dog. that didn't-
I wish my dog was that cool.
And also, yes, spoiler alert.
I'll
This will
put
be spoiler-filled
spoilers at
reviews.
the beginning, but yeah, we're gonna.
Spoilers for
Spoilers.
the movie that's over
Spoilers.
4
And
years old.
if you haven't seen this 1970, I mean, none of us actually had seen it at this point.
I haven't
So-
even seen the remake.
I've seen
Yeah.
it. I really love.
So you can
Well,
compare the two.
can't really say
I saw the
love, but I
first,
really
like,
liked the first remake
part of it.
The Hills Have Eyes. It's pretty brutal,
It's pretty. That was pretty.
but it was quite good. It's quite good.
So, what'd you guys think in terms of the movie? Considering it's 1977, this might have been one of the earliest cannibal-y kind of. I mean, I'm sure there was others, but this was kind of the first modern take
When
on
did
it.
Cannibal
in some ways.
Holocaust come out?
Yeah, there had to be sometime right in there too.
But this is more of like the.
But this is, I remember people talking about this in the 70s. I'm that old, but to me, it didn't seem quite that scary.
Yeah, in the 70s or now?
I'm trying to think in the 70s.
And even now,
And I guess
Both.
now it's not that scary
at all.
at all.
I mean, speaking about the original itself, I always try to put myself in the mindset, if that makes any sense, of someone watching this for the first time when it was created. So I try to put myself in that kind of 70s mindset. I know that kind of really didn't make any sense, but thinking about what was scary back then as opposed to what, our fears are built upon now, and how dated the film looks. And I love that dated look and sound. Like, there's a part in the movie where it started to get a little disco-y, with the wow, 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 with the bass and everything. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't fit. But, the overall tone of the film in terms of like being a horror film, not very scary.
Well, I was gonna say, like, it's not really scary, but there were a few moments in the film where it was a little tense.
Tense.
Right, like
Yeah.
you got like people running away and trying to like elude these
Because you didn't really know what was going
cannibals.
on.
Right.
Right,
So
like when getting up into the hills, when one of the dogs, I think it was Beauty, who had run away, Beauty and the Beast, these giant, what are they called?
or German
Like
shepherds.
German Shepherds?
Yeah.
The big old German Shepherds, and then they started getting alarmed by what was going on up in the hills. They ran up into the hills, and then I think it was Beauty who ended up getting, or maybe Beast, I can't remember. Maybe it was Beauty who ended up
Doesn't
getting gutted by the cannibals up in the hill.
Oh yeah, if you like really like dogs and you don't like dogs getting disemboweled in movies,
Yeah,
it's
don't watch
not
this
the
one.
movie for you.
Don't watch this
Don't
movie.
watch this one.
Starts off, a jet scares the family.
Yeah.
Patriarch wrecks the car and busts the axle.
blames his wife.
Blames the wife.
Clearly all the dad's fault. No control over the car whatsoever. Crashes it right into a giant bush.
A total jerk. And
Bush. There are no trees in the middle of this Mojave Desert,
Just a big
but he crashes
bush.
into a bush.
crash into a bush and mess up the car. So he has to walk all the way back to the gas station attendant. And then there's the son-in-law with the sporting an awesome 70s mustache that has to go look for help. And he just wanders off down the road.
Yeah.
And that leaves a mother, Dee Wallace, the eldest daughter, a younger blonde daughter, and then the blonde kid
And yeah.
that does flips and runs around those shorts.
Right. Little booty shorts doing backflips.
He's the one that finds one of the dogs disemboweled.
That's right.
And-
Youngest son
and
finds the dog dead up in the hills.
decides not to tell his family.
And that's the part that
but-
bugged me. So this guy finds their pet dog that had run off, disemboweled in the rocky hills, and then he just runs off crying, falls down, hits his head, and disappears all day. And then when he finally makes it back to the family, he doesn't tell them that he found the dog dead.
Obviously, well, I mean, it could have been like maybe an animal or something, but obviously, pretty
What a-
roughed up.
You think you just tell them, hey, they found the dog, she was all chewed up?
Maybe he had a
Yeah.
concussion.
No, he knew what happened.
I don't know what happened.
That's
to that
true.
guy.
And then hill mutants come out and
Begin to attack the family and their camper.
And that was one of the intense parts, is like waiting for the moment that you knew that they were getting ready to attack the camper. That setup was like, okay, like how is this gonna play out? And that was one of the things that like it started to get a little tense then. And there were a few like jump scares here and there that were. Do you guys think the jump scares actually like were purposeful to the story, or was it just like fake out jump scares?
I honestly don't remember the jump scares.
I don't remember anything scary.
Not scary at all. But
All I can remember is the hill people dressed like cavemen
bad, not even cavemen. It was
with
just-
like bones, and then they had and then wore furs, and they looked like they probably smelled.
They actually muddied up their teeth a bit
Yeah.
to makeup artists at least did that.
Yeah, they didn't look very scary. They didn't look like mutants either at all to me.
Kind of looked like if you drove
one-
up North
the-
Georgia a little bit.
Yeah, they looked like Deliverance
Yeah.
more than.
Just like right into somebody.
They didn't look like mutants at all. They looked like.
We're in Georgia, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we're in Georgia. Except for the
the
main
Skwaad
bad guy
guy.
dad mutant had a split up head, but that was just because his.
We didn't talk about that because that's like kind of the backstory of like
Oh,
the
the
origin of the
backstory.
mutants.
Yeah.
Or at least the one, because that was it.
Yeah, the
like,
dad, the main mutant, was caused.
It was the son, like the deranged son of the gas station attendant that you see earlier in the film. And he like gives this sort of half-assed backstory and then gets immediately pulled out of a window by the deranged mutant son.
Do remember that part. Don't remember the backstory. We might have been talking through that part.
Yeah, we
with the backstory.
we talk a lot.
Yeah, it was. The back, it was something like the son. It was just like kind of psychopathic.
The son
or
was
something.
the father of the clan.
Right.
He was supposed to be huge. The gas station attendant turns out to be the father of this deranged psychotic mutant. Just big redneck.
And he like, tried to kill him.
He tried to kill. He found out that his son burnt down their house and killed his wife.
Okay.
And so he decided the kid was too dangerous, so he hit him in the head with a tire iron and left a big mark in his head, and then left the kid in the desert.
Okay,
But
that
instead
makes
of dying, he became a hill mutant people person.
Cannibal.
And then he found himself a wife somehow on Tinder.
That wife. Woo!
Oh no! And she, large Marge.
Yeah, basically.
And
Nothing wrong with the large, but woo.
and then that's where they made they made the 3 sons and a daughter. What was the daughter's name?
I don't.
They all had names that were based on the planets, right? Mercury, Pluto,
Mars.
Saturn, Mars. We don't remember any of their names.
We'll put it in.
But we'll put it in.
And so there's a daughter who's, I guess, she seemed remorseful about eating and killing people.
Yeah, 'cause she
So she
to
tries
escape.
to escape and tries to help the stupid family in the camper.
Yeah, because there was a part where they were eating the dog that they had murdered that the kid had saw, and then I think it was the mom who was like, "What's the matter? You don't like dog?" And she like spat it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty gross.
And so then as things progress, they attack the camper, and then eventually the hill mutant people capture and kill the dad.
Yeah.
They capture him like when he's on the road coming back because he starts running away from them and then immediately has a heart attack. Like they kind of mentioned earlier in the movie. They're
That's
like,
right.
you got a bad heart.
That's
you
right.
shouldn't be out doing this."
The dad had gone back, talked to the gas station attendant, got the backstory about
saw
the
the
mutant
guy
people.
pull gas
Saw the
station
guy
attendant
pull
out
gas station attendant out the window,
and then ran away.
and then
and then had a heart attack.
and then the grumpy patriarch ran off, had a heart attack, shot into the dark a lot, and then got captured by mutant hill people.
And then they tied him to a cactus. They crucified him to a cactus.
They crucified him on a cactus.
Set him on fire.
And set him on fire.
Now I gotta say, just to interject a second, okay, I know a lot of people hate reboots and remakes, but the remake, the setup to that part and the remake is awesome. Not so great in this one.
This was not so good.
I kind of felt like he deserved it at that
But he
point.
did deserve it. The way he just swerved off on the road into the bush.
There's nothing about his character that made me feel any sort of like sympathy towards him. It was like
No,
he's kind of a
he was-
jerk and he didn't listen to anybody in his
He was a
family.
jerk.
And a
Nobody
horrible
liked
driver.
him.
And then like
He was, yeah, it was pretty funny. So that, and then did they eat him?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
did they?
we think. There was a part
Oh,
where
yeah.
the guy was like, the main cannibal, the head cannibal, with a split through his face, he was with his family, with the rest of the cave people, mutants, maybe. I keep wanting to say mutants. But with the rest of them, they had his head like on like a pike kind of thing, and he was like kind of intimidating the dead body, the head, just by saying, "Yeah, we're gonna mess up your family, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that,"
that's
while
right.
eating the
Yeah.
meat and everything. So we
So
assumed
they
that they were
assumed
eating
that he
him.
was eating meat, but they never really
Don't get
made
him
it
the-
that clear.
don't get him the
well, it's
cannibal
probably
part.
for the time.
For the time, I guess you were just like, oh no, they're eating him.
Like,
But they could
probably-
have just been eating like old leftovers from,
They could have been just still eating leftovers of the dog.
yeah, the dog.
Beauty.
maybe. So it turns out that the main best character of this film is the other dog, Beast. While the sons and daughters are running around like idiots, the
Yeah.
dog, he's the one that saves the day like a number of times.
Pretty much. One of the
Yeah.
dogs, like one of the best looking mutant cannibals, ends up getting pushed off of, this giant rock-like structure and killed. So I guess
By the dog.
By the dog.
The
One of
dog
the
runs
dogs, yeah.
up.
I think the dog has the highest body count.
The
in this
dog
movie.
kills the most people. He ran up and then he knew when to run away. was almost like a
Family
Lassie
didn't.
or a Renton. It was a super smart dog, and he knew to run up and push this mutant off of the top of the cliff.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he knew how to run up, attack another mutant, and then run away and hide, and then come back and attack him again.
Exactly. Animals know what's up. Animals know what's up.
And then meanwhile, the eldest son with the mustache just ran around and cried.
Well, remember the eldest son with the mustache, he went off to find help and/or supplies, and he found that giant open space with just nothing but like wrecked cars and all kinds of just like random things, you know, that they could use. He didn't realize that the mutant cannibal hill people were stockpiling all these things, you know, from people they had like run off the road and whatnot.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, we've got a plethora of things that we can bring back and possibly help us, you know, signal out and get out of here.
I think truthfully the things that stand out for me in the film were like the you know, the old gas station attendant and the shitty dad,
Right.
the dog killing everybody and running around, and then the screeching from that youngest daughter at the end of the movie when they were fighting off the mutants.
Yeah, that was
The youngest daughter, this blonde, just would just scream and screech, and I just wanted her to not scream. It's just-
Well,
Right, she
we
lost-
also have to,
lost it all.
you know, of course, mention the violation of the female characters
Yeah.
in the
We're gonna bring up the rape scene.
yes, we have to bring that up because that was a major turning point in the film to really set everything in motion in terms of them retaliating, the family retaliating, the survivors, and then, you know, putting up a fight with the mutants.
Well, it's like that whole scene in the camper. What? So like what? Two mutants? It's
big one?
the big
one,
the big
super dumb.
yeah
And the bald one.
the bald guy who's been in other kind of like the parts and stuff.
Yeah,
I guess
feels like
he's
that's
like
all
a
I did.
physical kind of abnormality thing.
And the face of the movie, he's on the cover of the.
He's the cover.
Yeah, it's like
Blu-ray.
this like
Bald. That's
So-
being a mutant means you're bald. This one guy.
they break into the camper, right? And I guess they fight over raping one of the women, and then the mom's in the camper, and then they just
Shoot
like
her.
did they shoot her?
Shot
Stab
the-
her? Stab
Shot the
her?
mom.
Yeah, they shot her. Oh,
And then
They shot the mom.
it's just,
That's right.
Yeah.
violated the youngest daughter.
But it wasn't.
Shot the
it-
mom.
but
And then
when-
they shot
but
the grandma too.
But the rape was more implied than.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Like,
It
yeah,
wasn't
it-
very clear. Just like eating the people, nothing in this movie was really.
Shown.
They don't. They don't.
The
put it in
clearest
their face.
things in the film was like when the dog would attack people. You said, okay, he's attacking people, but the rest is kind of implied. And I was left sort of with a vague notion, like maybe the character had been sexually assaulted, raped by a mutant, or maybe he just had just laid on top of her and made her be quiet. He was like covering her mouth so that they couldn't tell him. He was
Yeah.
snuck into the trail.
I mean, our minds automatically want to go to like the worst thing, but
I think it was implied.
is heavily implied.
It was
that they
implied
were-
because earlier in the scene they were like fighting because the bald guy was wanting her, and
Oh, yeah.
they like fought over it, and I don't remember what happened.
Said, "You ain't man enough to do this, boy," kind of thing.
Oh,
and then-
yeah, it wasn't emphasized, but it still was very 1970s implied. I
Yeah,
think.
it was very puritanical for a horror film.
Kinda. So
Except
the whole thing with the people kind of left me a little empty, though. I mean, you knew the mutants were attacking and they killed the dad, but they didn't really establish like how spooky, scary the mutants really were.
No, I mean you didn't have any backstory about the mutants other than the Tire Iron guy.
Yeah.
And they, I guess,
Yeah.
attack wayward.
And they
travelers.
said they attacked travelers, but they didn't really. And you hinted at cannibalism, but it wasn't really that graphic.
Honestly, the spookiest, scariest moment was when the large one grabbed old dude, the old father,
Through the
out of the
window.
window,
That
through
was
the
cool.
window.
Yeah.
Grabbed him out. And then other than that, like especially as soon as we saw the head wife of the cannibal crew, then it started to take a really drastic comedic turn. Anytime I saw her, like there was a shot where she was like laying down and she got up and she was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "This has become a comedy."
Yeah, at the end was, I thought, kind of funny.
And then just, you know, going back to what they were wearing, you know, in terms of like makeup design. And okay, so the head cannibal guy, I want to say Mars, but I'm not really sure. But the split down the face, that was cool. But then they had like these, Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Jupiter was
But then they had like these headbands with like these tiny bones that were kind of like sewn onto them or stapled or whatever.
Like they spent some time really making some hippie-looking
They did, like,
cave
that
people
hippies.
outfit, hippie cave people.
Cave hippies, yeah.
And they put little outfits and little, but I don't know.
And it just didn't look good at all. No. It just didn't look good. And we understand that for the time, maybe it might be because it was done in the late 70s, but we have seen some film with some 70s films. And
I mean, The
earlier, which is
Exorcist
good.
came out in the
Yeah.
70s.
I think for
But
me,
we got to think
this,
about the budget though.
this was like a direct kind of competitor or influenced by Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Exactly.
Which was a much creepier, realistic feeling film. It just was, and that still resonates with me as being a lot creepier. But this one just sort of felt like, I don't know, made for TV, not made for TV, but sort of hokey or something. I don't know.
It's definitely the hokey feeling, especially after I saw the cannibal mom.
Yeah.
Jeez, I mean, it was just too funny.
We don't really talk about kind of the driving plot. So the family's pretty like ineffective at protecting themselves against. I mean, the mutant hippies have guns, and the the patriarch father was like a cop, right? And he had a gun, and then just like blew all his bullets into firing into the
Yeah, he was
night.
the worst cop,
But
apparently.
there's the baby. There's the baby in the movie that like gets kidnapped after the rape scene. The grandma of the baby dies or is dying, and the baby gets kidnapped because they maybe want to eat it, or they want to lure. Do they want to lure the family into the hills?
Gosh,
I think they wanted to lure them in, possibly kill them and eat them, because there was a part of the film where the family, especially the daughter, the youngest daughter who screamed and screeched all the time, the blonde backflip booty short kid, and then Mustache McGee, they started to retaliate against the mutants, and the mutants got to the point where they were just like, all right, give them the signal, kill the baby. And that's when all hell broke loose.
Okay, so they're using it sort of like a hostage.
like
sort
bait.
Because
I guess so.
the mutants were communicating through like radios. Like they had radio.
They had
and-
old walkie-talkies, yeah.
Yeah, and they were
Which
able
they-
to intercept it.
Most likely stolen from the other people that
Air
they
Force
Yeah.
people they had previously eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So that was the drive. I don't know. It was okay. For
Yeah,
the 70s, it was fine.
yeah. I kind of like the style of the film more than the film itself, like how it was
Right.
shot. And so it was
Exactly.
almost like a little bit more like guerrilla filming. I don't know, like the way they shot through the woods and
Yeah.
or not the woods, the desert.
Yeah.
It's
But
one of those things where they didn't really.
it felt dirty.
Yeah, it was like very dirty, very grainy. You know, in terms of like lighting and direction, they were like, okay, we just get out here and film it. You know, don't get too fancy with it. We just gotta get out here, get it done. And also the abrupt ending. I really kind of like
the ending. I
I
kind of
loved
like
it
the
and hate
ending.
it at the same time.
It
It's
just
like
ends though. It doesn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just stops.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just- it ends with a Mustache
Mustache
McGee. Like
McGee's face.
he's just like, he finally gets like, what was it, like a large machete or knife, and he was just like, ah.
Like wailing on one of the mutants.
And it's just his
Credits.
face going, ah! And it just stops.
Well, no. It like cuts. It fades out to
It was, like,
red.
red.
You fade up to red, yeah. And it's like, burp, and movie's over, that's it, go home. And
So I
you're
kind of
like,
like that, but at the same time, I'm
it
just like,
felt a little bit like, what?
Well, I was
Oh.
reading later that like I guess the studio wanted like a more hopeful ending or something of them like escaping, and then they just decided to end it there to leave it a little ambiguous
Yeah.
because like they kind of want, but it was kind of like an awkward like ambiguity where we just gonna stop it right here.
Sounds like
and,
another example of the studio stepping in and kind of messing stuff up.
Yeah, I mean,
So what do you guys think? Would you what kind of grade would you give it, and would you recommend it?
I would give it 3 skulls. Okay, so out of like, you know, out of a letter grade, I guess,
Yeah.
I would give it a, I think I'd go back to like just giving it an average grade, maybe like below average, like a C to C minus. I'd probably stick with maybe a bold C, like right in the middle, 75%.
Yeah. What do you think, Rainey?
yeah, I'd probably give it like a little bit above average just because it's there's so many things that have been influenced by it since then, and
Yeah.
like watching it, having not seen it, it like I enjoyed the film. Like I wasn't sitting there really bored or like I was still engaged. There's some cool like special effects that I appreciated, even though the faces were kind of shitty. The like bald guy getting his like Achilles tendon like ripped off by the dog.
Right.
Yeah,
Like that was kind of brutal and unexpected. You're just like, oh shit.
Insane. They spent all their money on that one. Achilles heel.
Or like the dad getting crucified into a cactus. Like there's some like kind of enjoyable moments. I mean, you're not like in it as much as you would. Like I haven't seen the remake or anything.
It's so good, but it's so brutal.
Who did the remake?
I think it was I want to say Marcus Nispel, who did the remake to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but
Did
I'm
he do-
not exactly sure.
Is it the guy that did High Tension?
I don't think so. I think there was a French guy that did.
I feel like Rob Zombie would probably make a good remake of this film. With like just because I think of like the dirty grittiness of it. But
Yeah,
I'd probably give
actually
it, like,
he
a
would.
C+.
We should tell him. That'd be a good one for him.
But I honestly did. I really enjoy. And I know, like in the horror genre, especially, like reimaginings and remakes are like a no-go. I personally really enjoyed the remake of this film, and like you said earlier, like this one did keep me engaged. Even for the time it was, it was
wasn't
done in,
slow.
and I think it was, going back to that guerrilla style of filmmaking, it really kept me engaged. But then it just, it's going uphill and wavering a little bit, and then as soon as I saw Cannibal Mom, it just went right downhill. I was like, this is turning.
So, Rainey, what grade would you give it?
I'd probably give it like a B-.
B-?
Like it's not a movie that I'm gonna put on and watch
Yeah,
like
it's
on the
not
weekend,
it's
and I'm
not
like,
like
oh,
that.
I need to watch something. But I enjoyed
It's
it.
one of those films that's mentioned a lot, and you probably should watch it. And maybe in the 70s when you saw it, it would be fresher and new. But now I kind of give it like a C. Just the costumes of the hill people
Kind of pulls you out of it a little bit.
kind of pulls you out, and then it's a little dated, but it's good. So
The
maybe
running,
a solid C. Yeah,
it was the chase scene with the high neck
hill
shoulders.
people can't run very good, and the dog was too smart. It was kind of funny.
So best performance of the film, definitely the dogs.
Dogs. Yeah.
And maybe the blonde kid,
Yeah,
and I guess
that seems to be it. Thanks for watching, guys.
like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe.
Please, we will be back.
I don't care if you like and subscribe.
Yes, you do. You better like and subscribe. We need you to watch more stuff. We watch movies every Friday. We will try and do some reviews on them. It's not the end of the world if you disagree with us. Just watch and leave your comments below so we can see what you thought of these films.
No fighting in the comments below. Do not fight.
You can fight. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.